Votive. Thank you very much for this interview.
No problem.
Here, it will be the first question. What made you think about followership?
The story actually goes right the way back to about 2007, 2008, when I was asked by a sports coach posed an interesting question, an interesting challenge. He said on the field of play at any moment in time, he needed to have 15 leaders, but he also needed to have 15 followers. Was that a problem? And that got me really thinking about the concept that, okay, we talk about leadership, but surely there must be something called followership as well, that people needed to be involved in. And of course, followership being pervasive, that everybody had a follower role, I thought there must be something there. And then, of course, once I started doing the research and realizing that there just wasn't a lot of research done about followership, I thought there's something in the market here for us to look at and work with.
Why is followership different from leadership?
It's different because it operates at all levels. It operates from the bottom up. Leadership has this history about the hero leader. We think of making the leader of the team somebody who's above everybody else and giving them a hero status. And so therefore leadership seems to stop at a certain level within the organization. But followership very much talks about engaging everyone in that organization, be they the new joiner who's just joined, or be it the CEO right to the very top. It's talking about leadership starting really at the very heart, which is the individual, everybody within the organization, every individual. So followership and leadership are very, very similar. They are talking about people being the best they can be and releasing the potential. But it is very much about everyone doing that, and it's not just about somebody's responsibility to do that. So it's not down to the leader to get the best out of the team. It's about the team to perform the best themselves and the leader to be part of that team as well.
How does the followership concept actually work? What are its main benefits for managers, the company, and for other employees?
The concept of followership really is getting people to become more aware of their behaviours on a daily basis. I've always worked with a very simple phrase, which is that which you are aware of you can control, that which you are unaware of controls you. So once I realised that the awareness of followership was very, very low, I thought, well, there's room here for us to raise that awareness. So the way it works is that we raise the awareness in individuals of the types of behaviour that they display on a daily basis. We identified 4 key behaviour types. We have what we label as sheep behaviour, which is people who are behaving in a way that they're just not engaged, they're just doing the job, going through the motions. We have yes behaviour, which is where people are just being very compliant. They can't say no, they don't ask for help, they end up with too much work on, or indeed they tell the manager, the boss, what the boss wants to hear, not what they need to hear. We have alien behaviour, which is when an individual is alienated from the organisation and starts working against the organisation. And then we have affective behaviour. And becoming more aware of those 4 different behavioural types, the end result is they can make better choices. There is a 5th type actually that we label, because when we were doing the model, we identified that no one person was one behavioural type all of the time. So we tend to be amalgam of all of those 4, and it's where we spend that percentage time. So we created a 5th type of behaviour that sort of sits above the model, that feeds into it, which is survivor. And really all of us apply survivor, sit in that box. That's where the workforce sits. Where that box sits in the model depends on the culture within the organisation. So if it's a very command and control organisation, the survivor group, the workforce, will demonstrate a lot of sheep or yes type behaviours. Or if the organisation is going through a lot of change and you're not communicating that change well, then you'll see a lot of alien behaviours and sheep type behaviours. But likewise, if you are able to get the survivor population to be more effective more of the time, then actually they have a disproportionate effect on that organisation. The group performs a lot better. They behave effectively more often, take more control, take more initiative, be more responsible, and display more courage as example behaviours.
So, what are the main problems or obstacles that managers come across regarding their relation with other employees?
One of the key challenges we have, I think, is that the manager is not seen as part of the team. The manager is divorced from the team. They sit at the head of the table. They sit in a different office. We separate them anyway through pay and title and all of those sort of things. But if you think of the great teams, the leader of the team is just part of the team and in the team, and they're not necessarily above the team or away from the team. Look at the great football teams, or as an example, ones that have really achieved greatness. The leader of the team, although you need to have the captain, they are just part of the team. But in corporate business, the relationship between the manager and the rest of the employee is that they're slightly divorced, they're slightly separated. And it's that separation, that gap, that creates the void, which under normal leadership behaviours, you end up with too many barriers and people just working against you, and the more negative follower behaviours thriving.
So, where does leadership fail right now? What should managers improve at their way of leading organizations and people?
Leadership, I think, fails at the present moment in time is that it really doesn't deal with the environment that the person is working in. Leadership, this concept of hero leadership, is still so accountancy paradigm driven. Hit the number, hit the number, hit the number. But the number is not really significant. The significant thing is the people, because it's the people who are going to hit the number. And I still very rarely see managers within businesses being given targets that are environmental related. Because if you're going to make the change and release the potential within the team, we have to create the right environment for the team to flourish, for the team to grow, for the team to display initiative and courage, and to take greater levels of responsibility. And without that environment, the team just isn't going to flourish accordingly. And I think that's the big challenge that we have, and where it is failing at the moment is that the leader doesn't create that environment for the team to actually be the best they possibly can be. And release that potential.
What do you think are the 3 key attributes of a good leader to create great, effective followership?
The first of those attributes has got to be courage. For a leader to step forward and to have the courage, or an employee to step forward and have the courage to be more than they are at the present moment in time, to display initiative, to question, to challenge, but with the intent to grow. And in the leader, the courage almost is to drop the ego, to become part of the team, to accept that they are part of that organisation, and to let go of the hierarchical structure that might be supporting them. The second aspect, I think, is openness. A leader or the employee has to be open, really open, to allow the coaching to happen, allow people to develop, to allow people to grow. We need a clear reality there. If you're finding it difficult, we need to tell people it's difficult, and we need to recognise that. But people tend to hide things and not tell the manager what the manager needs to know. So if we had a lot more openness within the organisation, then I think you would see a big change. So we have courage, we have openness. And the third one, I think, as an attribute, is the willingness and ability to take greater levels of responsibility and ownership that is out there. If they take that responsibility and ownership for their results and how they are feeling at any moment in time, then people will perform better. We still use a lot of blame. I will be good when the company provides me with this, when the politicians provide me with that, when the market changes, when the customer does, rather than saying, well, it's down to me, taking that responsibility. My results that I achieve are the results that I have produced. and that there are people producing better results than me, and I'm not tapping potential that is in there. Likewise, taking responsibility for the way that I am feeling. If I'm feeling annoyed, then I need to take responsibility for that and do something about it, rather than saying that person did it to me, because they haven't. I'm doing it to myself, and I need to just challenge that thought. So if we have this greater courage, greater openness, and a greater willingness to accept responsibility and take responsibility forward, then I think those three key attributes really serve the leader extremely well.
Okay, thank you very much, Qipa, for your kindness to answer to these questions. This is it.
Thank you.
Thank you.